The first and the most important thing before we even start is that you will prepare your grocery shopping for low carbohydrate diet, which low carbohydrate diet is actually what made me balance my own diabetes, and then I could adjust my insulin dosing and timing according to this diet. But without low carbohydrate diet, I would have not achieved it, because as the great Dr. Bernstein said, small numbers lead to small mistakes, and big numbers lead to big mistakes. That is the rule of small numbers. And by numbers, we mean, of course, in our case, carbohydrates and insulin. We gonna minimize the margin for mistakes by switching to a low carbohydrate diet. The main idea is to limit your carbohydrate consumption per meal, so that we will reduce the load on the pancreas or on the injections that you take if you're a type 1 diabetic, as I do. In that way, we can make the blood glucose as predictable and as accurate as it can be. We are aiming to predict each day blood glucose wise, so that we can also adjust ourselves to the small changes that we make gradually. But I want you first to prepare your grocery shopping. In low carbohydrate diet, the best thing is that you will choose your protein of choice. That's how I call it. It can be chicken, it can be red meat, as I usually choose, and it can be based on eggs, fish, seafood products, and everything that contains protein and fat from animal sources, preferably unprocessed from local grown farmers. So by that, we also eliminate processed foods from our diet. For example, which I usually use red meat as my protein of choice, I buy red meat for as much as I can. Some of it I freeze in the freezer, and some of it, which I have to use for the next day, 2 or 3, I put in the fridge in order to defrost so it can be ready to eat, so I will not get enemies inside my house. That's how I call it. I want that your house, especially if you work from home, having some home office or a job that give you the flexibility to eat your own meals that you prepared in advance or out of the fridge in your own kitchen, that would be the best. That the kitchen will provide you with everything you need in order to be satisfied and satiated during the day. By that, you won't be surprised and you won't fall into the high processed and high carbohydrates food, which that is devastating to type 1 diabetic, type 2 diabetic, each diabetic, and even pre-diabetic. So as I do with my red meat, I put it out of the freeze, amount that will last for 2, 3, even 4 days. In the fridge, I put it in an open tray or in an open bowl, so it can breathe whenever the fridge is open, and by that it is kept the best and the most fresh it can be for the next 3 or 4 days. And then I keep it there, and I take for each meal the amount that will satisfy me the most and which will get me to be satiated. If you have children, you have other family members that you live with together and you eat together, so of course you will calculate the weight of the meat also by their needs. So it will last for 3 or 4 days. And by that, you repeat that process each time you're about to finish the amount that is in your fridge, and so on. The addings will be fat cheeses from real milk products, preferably unpasteurized. It will be vegetables that grow above the ground, and it will be some nuts and some almond flour for the recipes that will suit the most low carbohydrate diet. There can be also some pastes such as tahini or other pastes which are available at your country, and they are also low carb. In the bottom of this video, in the description, I added my guide into what to eat and not to eat. That is the PDF file that you can download, and the recipe book that will give you an idea of how to cook and what to cook with the ingredients that are listed in the list of do and do not of my diet, the low carbohydrate diet, to balance your diabetes to a non-diabetic level. That is how you prepare your groceries and your fridge and your freeze in the house to the low carbohydrate diet. And let's continue to the program.